I'm joined in this session by Mandy Savage from BAE Systems. Mandy, thank you for joining us.
No problem.
Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us what your job title is, please?
Yes, no problem. So hello everybody and thank you for joining. My name is Mandy Savage and I'm the head of engineering for one of our maritime products and technology businesses. So we have quite a diverse portfolio of projects, programs and products, and I'm specifically focused on maritime, so ships, submarines and associated technology that goes on ships and submarines.
Oh, fantastic. And that sounds an exciting sector to be in. And who do you work for?
So I work for a lady boss, actually, who is a very smart, charismatic lady who has been had a similar career path to me. And in our past, we've worked in defence and aerospace all of our careers. So yes, I think most of the people that I work with on a day-to-day basis have a similar background to I. In terms of our experiences and our career paths.
Okay, thank you. So in this session, we're going to talk about what your job is and other careers within your area and what that actually means and what a day in the life is like. And we're also going to be sharing, or you're going to be sharing and advising on the skills that are needed and possible pathways to get to where you are now or possible other careers in your area. So over to you.
Okay, no problem. So if I just give you a little bit of context about BAE first. So we are a technology-led business, which means that what we do is very much driven by our customer need and how technology can bring a solution to them to either deliver a mission, become more effective, take cost out of our armed forces, and deliver a better service for them. Our business is defence, aerospace, as well as secure systems. So security is really important. We have about 90,000 employees across the globe in about 40 countries. The business that I work in is, I'd say, around 1,000 employees on a subset of technology offers that we make into the MOD and other defence organisations globally. So what does that mean? What do I do? I have around 500 engineers out of that 1,000 employees. So we do things like systems engineering, mechanical engineering, electronics, safety, software, the full discipline of engineering. And we probably have very few ladies in that group, unfortunately. So some of the drive that I would like to see is really encouraging more ladies and young children, young females into engineering. But yes, we do quite a lot. We have radar systems, we have torpedoes, we have training systems, anything really you can associate with a service or a product that would deliver an effect, whether it be surveillance or other within a defence environment. I hope that makes sense, everybody.
It does, thank you. That's a lot of employees that you have. And you mentioned all of the different types of engineers. We've had a lot of female engineers today talking about their work, and there is such a big range of careers that engineering can lead to. And somebody described engineering as finding a solution to a problem.
Yes, that's a really good way of putting it, actually, to be honest. And there is such a diverse set of engineering skills that actually I always think there's something for everybody, whether you're mechanically biased or electrically biased or software biased, with some basic fundamental skills in place, you can pick your career, which I think is quite an exciting place to be.
Well, it is. And how long have you worked for the organisation?
So I'm a recent employee back to BAE Systems. I've been in the business for about 7 months. BAE Systems was actually the first organisation I joined after being a graduate. So I went into their graduate scheme a long time ago, and I was there for quite some years. Left as a department lead, so I was the head of engineering, software engineering, of about a 200 engineer group, and joined another defence business. At the time it was Raytheon, and then after that I left to join Lockheed Martin and then Cobham, and now I've come back to BAE Systems. So I'm 9 months back within the business that I started my career.
Wow. And what are you're an engineer by background then?
Yes, I am. Yes. So my background is I did my O levels, as it would have been at the time, and then for A levels, very science-based A levels, so maths, further maths, science, and I took economics. I've no idea why, but I thought it would be good to do economics. Then I did an electronics and physics degree after that, really not knowing what I wanted to do when I left school or university, and then was privileged enough to join the defence sector, which I've been in ever since I left university. So yes, quite a long history really of working in the same sector.
Right. So you didn't know what you wanted to do. What made you choose those subjects?
So I was generally better at maths and science as I was in any of the other subjects. And so really, I think I've got the sort of logical brain that helped me in problem solving. I really enjoyed coming up with an answer, you know, a definitive answer, rather than trying to write an essay, which I found quite difficult. You know, having the logic that takes you to something that was quite precise was really excellent for me. And so that was what I enjoyed at school, and just carried it on really into my A levels and then my degree.
Thank you. And why did you apply to join the defence sector?
To be honest, I applied when I left university. I applied to lots of different sectors, but actually the work and the passion of the people that I met in the defence sector was actually quite exciting for me as a youngster. And so I was engaged in sort of discussions with organisations that were talking to me about, you know, building and sending out submarines and making aircraft more sexy and faster. And, you know, that faced with white good industry at the time, which was, you know, come and work with a white good in our white good engineering industry and work on washing machines and things like that. It just didn't sound as exciting. And at the time, I joined a signal processing department that was looking for a number of graduates, and all of that was very maths based, and it was quite exciting to basically carry on from my degree into my job. So that was how I ended up where I ended up.
Oh, thank you. What is signal processing?
So signal processing is a way of taking, in this case it was radar signals, and turning them into information to make decisions. So basically processing things like Doppler information to try and find out where things were, how fast they were traveling, could we recognize them. So again, really exciting applications where the software that I was writing at the time was, you know, I could instantly see the effect of the product that I was trying to build. So yes, it was a very exciting time as a young graduate.
Yes, that is exciting. And can you tell me about some of the specific projects that your team are working on now, or the areas that they're working on?
Yes, so our design teams very much, they're really at the forefront of some really good technologies. And so things that have been around us for a very long time, like radar systems as an example, the team are really working on the next generation of radar technology and how we can, you know, detect things from space with our radar systems, which is quite exciting. Looking at how we turn 2D plots into 3D plots. How fantastic is that? You know, so really pushing some of the boundaries of what technology can do for us to bring better capability to our armed forces. So radar is one area. Another area for us is torpedoes, underwater systems. And we have a customer who has a very aging fleet of weapons, hopefully never need to fire them, and people have views about weapon systems. But, you know, from my perspective, defense is all about having that capability if you need it. And so making sure that we've got, you know, really good technology that works when it needs to, does minimal destruction and you know, targets things in the right way is really important. Autonomy. So there's a big thrust in our industry at the moment to take men out of the loop, to make sure that we're not putting our people in danger. So having more autonomous systems. In the maritime world, that means things like boats driving themselves to dangerous places, having a look at what's out there, bringing back information, and making sure that, you know, our ships can continue on. So, you know, all of those things are really, really exciting things for our young engineers to be working on.
It's certainly a very fast developing sector, isn't it? The technology and the, as you say, automating a lot of processes. We were speaking to a civil engineer earlier who they have drones who take surveys of the sites that they're working on.
Yes, and that's amazing. You know, we used to rely, I always think of a mobile phone when I think about technology and how quickly that technology we're so reliant on mobile phones now, it carries our life, doesn't it? But, you know, in my young day, we used to stand in telephone boxes to get back to our mums and things. But yes, it's an amazing enabler. Technology is an amazing enabler, and it's about making sure the applications that we can use those technologies for is understood, and basically bringing better capability into everybody's fingers.
Yes, absolutely. And I think one of the major impacts on me of the COVID pandemic has been the ability to work from home and the way that we communicate and do our work using technology. And I think demand for those skills and that the creativity that comes with having, you know, inventing is certainly going to grow. Do you think there are a lot of job opportunities that will be upcoming in your sector?
So yes, and in fact, I think this was a bumper year for us for graduates and apprentices. I think we were taking, oh gosh, I can't remember the numbers now, about 700, probably more than that, apprentices and graduates we're taking on this year, which is a huge intake for us. And I think also working in this new virtual way enables us to really, you know, we don't have to have everybody moving into the same locations. You know, we can work virtually, and it's proved actually that we can be very productive in this new way of working. So touch wood, I don't think we'll ever go back to, you know, having everybody in the office 24/7. I think there's much more of a hybrid world that we'll be working in.
That's right. So that's a lot of people that you recruited this year. And you mentioned graduates and the apprenticeship route. We've been hearing how competitive some of the engineering apprenticeships are, and that often people that have taken that route have a slight edge over graduate route. And in fact, I was speaking to a graduate engineer who sort of feels that if she'd taken the apprenticeship route, that would have given her personally the edge. So can you tell me and the people at home a little bit more, please, about routes into engineering?
Mm-hmm. Yes, certainly. So the route that I took was as a graduate, and BAE Systems is very supportive, as is many organisations actually, with their graduate intake. So If you think about what we're taking is individuals that have very rarely had very much work experience in the type of work that we do. And so as part of the graduate schemes, you would see graduates moving around the business and learning, about what we do, how we do it, and trying to find, the right spots for them in the future. So it's a mutual partnership where, if engineering is not quite right, then perhaps program management is, or if program management is not quite right, perhaps commercial is. So there's an opportunity for our graduates really to move around quite a lot and experience quite a wide range of jobs to try and find their right niche. The apprenticeships are similar but more hands-on. So effectively you will be still moving around, I think, but there's an education program that goes along with the apprentice scheme that helps them learn some of the basic skills that they need to do the job. And again, you could be an electronics apprentice, you could be a mechanical apprentice, you could be, I've got 2 apprentices at the moment that are navigators, and they go out on boats and drive boats around. It's the best job in the world for them, they're having a great time. So yeah, I think both routes offer quite a diverse introduction for youngsters to come straight out of either school or university, and to understand the environment that they're joining. And it works well for us as employers as well, because we get to test and see how well these youngsters are performing and help them with their career.
Wow, what an opportunity that would be, to be able to see the whole of the company and all of the areas that you could perhaps pursue a career in.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good opportunity. I know when I first joined as a graduate many years ago now, some of the placements that I did, I knew I wasn't going to end up there in my career, but actually from my perspective, it set me up with an understanding of, how my role fits into the wider business. So, if nothing else, you're broadening people's outlook in their early careers, which is awesome. And then, the other thing, we're very good, and most industries are very good at mentoring schemes and helping the youngsters transition from education into being, very active and engaged employees as quickly as we can transition them, because it's in our interest to do that. Yes. So, in fact, I think we have even a reverse mentoring scheme now, where I'm being mentored by a youngster as well as I'm mentoring others. So it's quite a good environment for learning.
It is. We've been hearing today from people who, when either the subject or the job became difficult, what they did and where they sought help. And they've had help throughout their studies and into their career. Is that available with your organisation?
Oh no, absolutely. And so we're what's called a matrixed organisation, and so most individuals will have a line manager, so somebody who is responsible for directing them on a day-to-day basis. But we also have functions. So I'm a functional leader for engineering, as example. And effectively that support infrastructure is there to help not only the individual do the right thing, but to do it in the right way, which gets the best results. So I think it's a very sound model for trying to get people, really productive, essentially, and satisfied with what they're doing. Because, if you've got a worker who is really happy with what they're doing, they fully understand what they're doing, it's stretching, they're learning, all those fantastic things, you end up, with a very motivated workforce, which is what we all want. So yes,
absolutely. So you support them to do the right thing in the right way.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. So that brings me on to my next question, which is about other skills or attributes that you look for when you're recruiting.
So yes, the things that I really look for, and I don't think I'm special in that, is I'm looking for people who will take initiative, looking really at behaviours, how they're going to respond. You know, are they going to get stuck and sit there and not raise a hand? That's not helpful. You know, you need to understand when you need help, when to raise a hand and how to get it. Problem solving skills are really important to me. So you talked about some of the challenges that people were talking about earlier in the day. Having approaches and methodologies that will help you pick your way through problems are really important. So not to be, you know, startled by a complex issue. How do I break it down? How do I, you know, what's my way in which I can get through this problem? So that's really important. For early careers, it's hard really to look for leadership type skills, but so I tend to look for early careers more organisation. You know, how well organised are they? Do they plan and manage their work, whether that's study or you know, little jobs that they've had, or are they, you know, not very organised and leave everything to the last minute? So it's all the things that will help them be successful in industry, because actually for early careers, we don't really, you know, that they're not going to come in with the full scale of competencies that we need for them to be highly productive. So behaviours become all that more important, really.
Okay, thank you. That's really, really useful information. So for people who are at school or progressing through university, what kind of things could they be doing to show those behaviours and competencies?
Yeah, so it's things like planning and managing your work, leading and participating in you know, major projects that are going on at universities or schools. People who are keen to learn, what additional learning are they doing over and above their curriculum? You know, for me, things like, you know, have they got a little project they've got going on in the garage to build a boat, or to build, you know, things that are demonstrating that they're keen and interested in the subject. Not to say that everybody needs to, but actually it gives you some strong indication that they have a keen interest in that, and it's something that excites them. So really just try it out, just, you know, push yourself forward. And I would say to all youngsters, you know, grab every opportunity that gets presented to you and do it, you know, put both feet in and go for it. So it's things like that that you're looking for on CVs and when you talk to youngsters. Really, you know, if they have had work experience, then really it's not the work experience that they've had, it's more what has been your approach to learning in that job, and what's been your approach to becoming effective, etc.
Thank you. Thank you. That's great. I hope people at home are taking some notes and thinking about how they can take all of this advice and put it into action. So going back to the team that you work with, yourself and your graduates, and thinking back to school time, how similar is the maths, the science, technology, engineering, how similar is that in work to what it was in the classroom?
Okay, so I think you need the fundamentals to be successful, but in most jobs you will learn the specialism that you've been brought in to do. So if I just think of mechanical as an example, you need a basic maths understanding to understand the concepts of mechanical design, but actually the specifics of what's important to each industry you learn when you get there. So I think there is less of an emphasis on schools and universities to train people to be sort of highly competent in the jobs that industry need, because you can't. We're quite diverse and we all have different skill sets. But having the sound background of what it all means, my degree was an electronics degree as an example, but I didn't know how to apply that to a radar system, which was my first job. But the basics of the maths, physics and electronics in my degree enabled me to be successful in that industry.
Okay, so a young person shouldn't be put off from applying for something if they don't have the specific knowledge, but it's the fundamentals that count.
It's the fundamentals that count, fundamentals and behaviour that counts. So yes, I would just go for it.
Yeah, and that's useful for the educators who are joining us as well, to be able to apply that into their lessons in the classroom. So thank you for that. And I'd like to ask you, are there opportunities for travel with engineering?
Yes, absolutely, and it sort of depends really on where an individual ends up, if that makes sense. So in my early career, I didn't have very sexy travel. So I was going to Wales on an over the horizon radar, etc., etc. But right the way through my career, after my early career, you know, I've been all over America. I've been into Europe. You know, I've been on Italian engineering councils, you know, quite an exciting broad range, but I think really it depends on the individuals and where they go. Within BAE, there's also an opportunity for quite a significant amount of mobility. So because of the multiple, you know, we're in 40 countries, and that allows us really to move people around. If their desire is to live somewhere else or to be part of a team elsewhere, then those opportunities can quite often be found, which is quite exciting. But yes, it depends really. Some people are very lucky if they want it. Some people are very unlucky if they don't want it and end up traveling. But it's never as glamorous as people say, living in airports, but it is a way of really getting around. And of course, our young generation are much more mobile, I think, than some of the older generations. So that opportunity exists.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you. And you've given us great insight into your work, into the industry and the skills that are needed. So on a day-to-day basis, what really gives you a kick out of engineering, out of your job?
Probably three things.
Okay.
Delivery is really important to me. So getting something in the hands of either our users or our customers that will really make a big difference to them is very exciting. So I'm motivated by actually delivering something that was better than they had before. My second motivation really is team and performance, and getting, you know, the people around me performing to the best of their ability, and for them to go home and kind of feel like they've done the best job ever. And I guess the third thing for me, the thing that gives me the buzz, is that I work in an industry that is actually providing a very good set of technologies and a very good set of products, and the people are amazingly clever, and you know, we do some really good things. And so the business growth side of that, you know, what more can we do? You know, we might have delivered that, but look at this exciting stuff that we can do in the future. So the technology and the roadmaps and all those things are really awesome. So now I'm in a very privileged position where I get to look at across all of those things, which is awesome. And yeah, I get quite goosebumpy when I think about the scope of the things that we do within our business and how I can impact that.
That's really inspiring. What a great feeling to have about your job. Thank you. And we are running out of time now, unfortunately, but for people at home who would like to find out more, or perhaps would like to look at potential job or apprenticeship or work experience placements, where do you tend to advertise?
So we have a website. I would also be on LinkedIn and link into BAE Systems. I would do the same for other electronics and technology industries. But yes, our website has got a huge amount of information on how people can engage, and we have lots of people who are there to help make that as easy as possible. So hopefully that's straightforward. I haven't looked myself, so I will, after this call, go and have a look and see how easy it is. But yes, I think it should be fairly straightforward.
Okay, thank you. And do you offer work experience or virtual work experience at the moment?
Well, yes, I believe so. I personally don't have any work experience working for me at the moment, but I would say absolutely. I think there is actually a program for work experience, but I'd have to get more details for you.
Thank you.
And
Well,
it's probably on our website.
On the website, yes. Okay. Oh, thank you, Mandy, for your time. That has been very insightful. I've learned a lot. I'm sure the people at home have as well. And thank you that your guidance and your support and your inspiration has been phenomenal. So thank you. And again, happy International Women's Day and British Science Week. Thank you, everyone at home, for joining us as well. Thank you. Bye-bye.